here we are with the rewind video. This is the first rewind video. If you want to know what the hell's going on with this, watch the intro to the last video, which was a reaction to episode 1132. Here, and there's no reason for me to duplicate that here. This is a Q&A, so let's go and get into it. First, I'm going to do the comments for episode 1129. Power of Death is both these comments. I really like your theory that the god was killed and parts of him were scattered all over the world, potentially the origin of the devil fruits. You might have cooked something here. Here's the thing. I think I did cook something. I mean, personally. Look, not to sound like an egomaniac, but like sometimes as a writer, you just get a feeling. Like most of the time as a writer, you don't know what people are going to think about this, like this script. You just, I don't know if people are going to like it. I don't know if people are not going to like it. But 4 or 5 times in my life, as I was writing the script, I'm cooking. I think people are going to like this. And I know people are going to like this. And invariably people have. Those are the scripts that got funding from investors and stuff. Other scripts have gotten funding from investors that I wasn't sure of. But the 4 or 5 times that I was actually absolutely sure, well, like 4 of them were film screenplays. One of them was an audio play. And that audio play, people loved that audio play. But that didn't get financing. But, that was a different thing. I self-financed all the audio plays. But the films, the 4 film scripts I got, like, a good feeling about that I knew in my heart I was cooking, ended up getting financing. So I was right. And like I said, it rarely happens. Because I probably have written 40 film screenplays, short film and feature film, at least 40. Maybe more. A lot of them just were unproducible or didn't get produced or whatever. But like I've written a lot of scripts. And in audio play scripts, several hundred, like 300 or 400 audio play scripts, because a lot of them could be only 5 minutes long, right? So they'd be 4 or 5 pages. And in all that time, I only felt this feeling like 5 times. Same thing with theory crafting. A couple of times I feel like I'm cooking in my theories. Now that has been less precise. Like I feel like 4 or 5 times, like one time in YellowJackets, I was convinced I was cooking. I had a really great feeling. It turned out that I was dead wrong. So there we are. A couple times in Lost, I had a couple theories, and I was about 50% in Lost. A couple times in my reactions, you've seen me, I'll throw a theory out there, and it turns out I'm right or I'm wrong. So, with my theories, I'm about 50%. But I have a really good feeling about this. I think I'm cooking. Yeah, we'll find out. But for me, it kind of clicked into place and lines up for me. But, because you got to ask yourself, what the hell is the government so embarrassed about? What are they so afraid of people finding out? This is like a panic. They're manically terrified that people are going to find something out. This is something that will rock the foundations of the world. Anybody who hears this information will forever be changed. There's only a couple things that could be. Killing a god. Maybe aliens exist or something, the existence of aliens, or, the world got transformed, like this is actually Earth, and then somebody, cast a spell to make it bigger and have a bunch of islands and change people and create all these other kinds of Homo sapiens in the same place. Like, something that, like, it'd be like if it turned out that space was fake. There's people saying space is fake, right? Like, there is no space. It's all fake, right? Which absurd, obviously, but like people believe. But say we did find that out. Say we found out the moon is fake, and you go back to the backside of the moon, it's just a big piece of cardboard, right? Like that would shake our foundation to the core. It would shake what we believe and what we've always thought in this world. So it's that big. This must be that big. This would be like it turns out the moon's made of cheese or cardboard or something. Like it would have to be that big. Because that would change everything. Like we would like probably burn every college and science laboratory to the ground if we heard that. Like if we believed it. If there's like incontrovertible proof that the moon is fake. It's just cardboard. Like we would riot. We would burn cities down. Like and we all knew it. It wasn't like fake news, right? Like we knew for a fact the moon was fake. It would change everything. So this knowledge has to be something super big. Killing a god is one of the biggest things I can think of. There are other possibilities, like I said. Not sure what they would be. That's the one that I landed. Like aliens is possible, or like we're all lab rats. Like there's like a zoo. It's like a zoo, and there's a bunch of zookeepers watching everything happen. or like it's a simulation. I don't know if simulation theory was popular back when Odo first started the series, but let's say everybody finds out they're just in a simulation, and it turns out there's some other world, maybe a version of Earth, where people are just playing these characters as video games, or just watching them go. They like the characters have agency, but they just watch them crash again. They're creating fateful situations, and like maybe a tsunami creates this situation, or that happens, or this, just to watch people go. Like, you find out, if everybody found out it's a simulation, it would have to be something really big like that, right? Like something that would rock people to the core. You could even craft a scenario where the government's doing the right thing. The celestial dragons, we know they're awful people to the core, so that not necessarily them, but like Emu, whoever the hoodie is, black hoodie. Black hoodie could be a situation like in Silo. I won't give you any spoilers, but people are doing things to actually save humanity. Like, for instance, let's say there is alien entities that are playing with us. It's a zoo. And the entire Earth in one piece is just a zoo. It's a forest preserve. It's just a place where everybody's just kept as little lab rats, essentially. And if the lab rats find out it's a zoo, then the zookeepers will kill everybody and start over, and just seed it with a bunch of new animals, right? They'll literally just kill everybody. Snap a finger, there's nothing you can do to stop it. They'll just kill everybody. Because the zoo animals are of no use if they find out they're in a zoo. So in that scenario, Black Hoodie's actually doing everybody a favor by, like, if somebody finds out he has to kill them. Because it's better you kill one person than 7 billion people, right? So in that scenario, he's not a hero, but he's doing the right thing. That's possible, right? Like, so you can get more and more absurd with the theories. Like, the more complicated the theory is, the more unproven, canonical so far, like not stated in the text, assumptions you have to make, the shakier the theory is. The best theories are the ones that make the fewest assumptions. Like, you can take, okay, these 17 things are stated in text. They could go together. It could be like, connect the dots. You could connect these 17 things in this way. They're all stated in text. You're not making any assumptions. Those 17 things are stated in text. All right, let's connect all of them, and we only need to make 2 assumptions to finish the picture. Like, you create 2 new dots, and you connect those 2 dots, and you have a picture, right? Those are the best theories. If you have to make 10 assumptions, and you have 10 facts from the show, and you have to make 10 assumptions, that's just it's fan fiction at that point. You have to make the fewest assumptions possible. That's what I think I've done. That's why I think I'm cooking. But we'll see. It's going to be fun to find out one way or another. And get more information so you're making less assumptions to that point. All right. Secondly, this is one that, like, he was telling me things that, like, it turns out I already knew. Because I was stating them, like, a couple episodes later. But the second comment is, like, God Valley was mentioned, like, 200 episodes ago. Now, here's the thing I didn't know. There was something in here that I didn't know. In which the famous Rocks Pirates was defeated by Roger and Garp. And now, I knew that much. He says the island has since been wiped from the world. Now, I didn't know that. I didn't remember that part. I knew that, like, God Valley was where Rocks met his end and that Garp helped and all this shit, right? I didn't know that it got wiped from the world. So I think what happened was that was brought up right before they blew up this second island and wiped it from the map. Somebody brought up the God Valley thing. I'm sure it was mentioned somewhere. I just didn't remember it. I didn't remember God Valley being wiped out. So everything we were seeing there is gone now. That's very interesting. I didn't realize that in the flashbacks, right? So that was good information. I had known the other stuff. And I think the way that the flashback was set up is that Bonnie saw the memory of Kuma in the giant bubble. And we're going to see what Bonnie saw. Which is what I said later, too. So he acknowledges that later. But so it's funny that he just hadn't gotten that far, right? But anyway, but there was a piece of it, even though he told me most of what I already knew, there was that piece of information that I did not remember at all. The thing about the island being wiped out. All right, so let's go to 11:30. There's 3 comments there. 2 more from Power of Death. This is Power of Death. The comment I made in previous episode, apparently you already knew all that. But not all of it, though. I didn't know the thing about the planet, the island being wiped out. That part I didn't remember, so I'm glad you made the comment. Also, Power of Death, I think Big Mom is still a mom in this flashback. This happened 39 years ago, and her eldest kid is 50. Man, god damn, Big Mom is old. Carrot Top is 48. And I talk about, so she was dropping babies while on the rock ship. That feels impractical, but is badass. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I don't know how that works. Like, this flashback's 39 years ago. She was on the pirate ship. I don't know how long the Rock's pirates were together. But she had a shit ton of babies. Her eldest kid is 50. She's got another kid at 48. So, I don't know. Like, maybe after those two kids, she got on the island. She got on the ship. I don't know how long they were on the ship. But being on a pirate ship and being pregnant, I don't know how that works. I don't think it works. You know, because there comes a point in time when the baby can be hurt. And I know she's a magic. She's got an impenetrable skin. Whatever, man. Like, you know, it stretches credulity. Or maybe she just takes a 6-month or 3-month break from being on the ship to go shit out this baby and then come back. I don't know. I don't know if that works. But then maybe what happened was she had some babies 50, 48, 47, 46 years ago, and then at some point got on the ship. Maybe the Rock's Pirates only sailed for 6 years or something. So she took a 6-year break from dropping babies and then had a bunch more, you know, because a lot of them are a lot younger than 39 years. That's probably what happened. I'm not sure exactly. I don't think it's practical. I know this isn't the real world. In the real world, there's no way in hell it would happen. Those babies would be stillborn. She's out there jumping over to the other ship and kicking ass and being kicked and shot and stabbed and stuff. And there's just no way, man. While pregnant, nobody believes that. Even with the impenetrable skin. You know, you think if nothing else, it would leech power away from you, the baby, right? Like, so you wouldn't be as strong. But, I don't really know the details of how long the rock ship sailed and how many children she has at what ages. If we knew those two pieces of information, we could talk about this a lot more. So at this point, we don't know. But yeah, I guess she was already a mom. If nothing else, she had some babies before she joined the pirates. You know, and had some more after she left. So she was already a mom at this point. So yeah, thanks for that clarification. And also for this episode, HIG. Saturn looks the same 40 years ago as he does now. See, that's something I didn't pick up on. I was so mesmerized by all this other shit that was happening. Like, my God. Like, there was so much happening in this episode. Both of these episodes, really. That I was just, like I said, I was mesmerized. So I didn't notice. I'm glad this was pointed out to me. That means he and maybe the other elders have some form of anti-aging immortality. You know, it's interesting. There's different kinds of immortality in that way, right? Like, there's a kind of immortality where you don't age, but you can be killed by anything. Like, you know, somebody can come up to you with a shotgun and blow your face off and you're dead. But if that doesn't happen, you live forever. You stay young forever. Vampires fall in that category. They don't age, but they can be killed. Or there could be slow aging immortality, like for every 40 years, you age 1 year. Or whatever. You know, every 10 years you age 1 year, or something like that. Because, here's the thing, he looks old. So he aged somehow, some way, from a baby to about 60 or 70, and then has now stopped aging from that point. Or he ages, for every 5 years he ages 1 year or something. So, like, you know, 40 years could be the equivalent of aging 5 years, and you don't look much different with 5 years of aging, but it'll explain why he now looks old. He looks old now and looks old 40 years ago. Something happened. So at some point he was aging normally until he got to be an old man, and then the aging stopped. Or he just ages at a really slow rate. So if it's like you age 1 year for every 40 years, then every 120 years you age 3 years. So, you know, you could easily be 1,000 years old, right? And would only look like 30 or something. If that's the case, it's possible that all the elders are from the Void Century. Not just Emu, right? Black Hoodie. I think it's probably just Black Hoodies from there, and the rest of them are younger than that. So maybe it's a gift he can give you. Like, one elder was touched by the Black Hoodie 400 years ago and has stopped aging since then. Another one was touched by Black Hoodie 300 years ago and stopped aging since then. And then so on and so forth. And these guys are from different eras, but now they don't age. Or maybe they just age at a really slow rate. Or maybe they're just, like, literally immortal. Like, nothing can kill them. That wouldn't be very interesting from a narrative point of view. So I think it's more just like anti-aging, which is what he says. He says anti-aging. Rather than immortal means, like, can't be killed, right? And he made a point of saying anti-aging immortality. So I think that that's what that is. It's that kind of immortality. I think it's probably you age slowly. But it's entirely possible he just runs across somebody. I like the cut of your jib. Let me give you this immortality gift. You won't age anymore. So that's also possible. It's also possible his power seems to be similar to Black Hoodie's power. Like we saw them all. Black Hoodie kind of changed them in the throne room when all that shit was going down. And so his power seems to be that power, right? So it's possible that the anti-aging thing is just a byproduct of being bestowed power. Like, for instance, a vampire, to use a vampire analogy. Vampires are immortal because they've been bestowed power. Like, they've been given the power of being able to drain people blood. And, you get the fangs, and maybe sometimes you get super speed. Sometimes you can change into animals or a mist, or you're immortal to normal weapons, You can't be drowned or stabbed or shot and killed, right? Like, you can't be, strangled to death. Like, there has to be certain precise things that kill you. So, in a lot of ways, the immortality of a vampire is a byproduct of the power they were given. So, that could be the case here. It could be they're given power, and because they're given this power, they will live as long as Black Hoodie lives. And like all the power comes from him. So, if you were to kill him, all the other elders will drop dead instantly, right? Is a possible theory. So that's entirely possible. Because he seems to have the same kind of black liquid, red tinged power that Black Hoodie has. So I don't know. It's interesting to think about. I had not noticed that he was the same age. I wasn't thinking about the fact how long ago it was. I was just thinking he looks awesome. So great observation. All right, we've got one more video to look at. Like I said, moving forward, it'll just be the previous video. But for that to happen, we need to start this as a routine, right? So that's what I'm going through back. And in this one, 1132 only has one comment. The power of death. No, that's his daughter in the break scenes. Kuma's daughter. If she has freckles, it's Jenny. If she has some mark on her cheek, it's Bonnie. So... her name must be Jenny. I never knew that. So the freckles is Jenny. Some kind of marker on the cheek is Bonnie. I'll look for that in this episode because I'm about to start watching it now. All right. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to go over and I'm going to watch the actual episode. You can keep going if you just want to get my rewind to the episode, or you can stop here, go over, watch the reaction, and come back. Either one. Alright, here we go with the 1132 rewind. Just going to go through the episode scene by scene, and any thoughts, any new context, anything, more dialogue I pick up, we'll talk about it. Go from there. So, let's go ahead and get into it. Do we know where Baltigo is? This, I think, because what I was thinking about, they talk about a fight here in a minute. And I thought they were talking about this other thing. There was a thing where, like, the revolutionary headquarters get attacked. I don't know that we ever got full context on that. I think it was during the Wano arc or before it, and I don't remember now. I don't think we ever got the full details of that. We heard it got attacked. Most of the people got out. But that is probably dislocation here. So this is the old Revolutionary Army headquarters before all that shit happened, I think. To me in the South Blue. Is this the place where he's at the end of the episode, or was it some other place he freed at the end of the episode with the church and everything? I'm not sure on that. But, because they said 16 years. No, the place, it was from a previous episode. Because it was the king, right? The king was going to do that F shit. And he stopped the king from doing it, and then now the king's back. Okay, so that's what that was. This is something else. This To Me South Blue thing is something else. Okay. They're throwing a lot of shit at us. We got the Goa Kingdom, a lot of injured people from the Goa Kingdom at the same time. Yeah, and this is something I was a little confused at the beginning. Because I didn't know if he knew about his wife yet, right? But clearly he did, because this right here points that out. It's like, you've been too reckless since then, right? And then you're going to show some glamour shots of her. Like, Is that necessary? Look at this shit. I still don't see her freckles, by the way. But is it necessary to show these various glamour shots with all the fan service breasts? That's probably the best shot, right? Yeah, because it's not fan servicey. Man, what a tragedy. Just kidnapped and forced into the sex trade, man. Like, it's just, that is messed up. Yeah, but, like, he doesn't care anymore, man. He sure as hell don't care about his own safety. That's for goddamn sure. I like how close Ivan got, but so close, so far away. This is interesting. Just random king soldiers, I guess, with the armor and a huge axis. Like, my god. The scale of the weapons and the people in this show is so ridiculous. Big ass shields. Like these peasants with their little plows and rakes and shit like that. You know, what do they call it? Pitchfork? Pitchfork's probably the best weapon you could have. If I was a farmer and I was like becoming a revolutionary, I would just use a pitchfork. The pitchfork is scary. But yeah, they don't have a chance against armor, you know. That's interesting. I wonder who said he's our ally. I didn't notice that the first time. Because the dialogue comes right after this shot here, they must think that he's one of their allies. Like some power user, a lieutenant of whoever is their boss. Maybe they think maybe their boss sent the lieutenant in to help them, right? They must be the one saying, is he our ally? Yeah, they're the one saying it. And the answer to that would be a definitive no. And then they show him thinking about her. Like, this is very intentional, of course. He's reckless, and maybe, are they saying he's more violent because of what happened to her? I think they are. I think they're saying that. He's just charging headlong, and he don't care if he lives or dies. So this was a flashback. This was kind of what confused me about the timing of all this. He's flashing back to this. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, he was there for this. He was in another part of the room. The fact they weren't standing together was a little confusing as well. But, like, here's the thing. It's like, when you're reacting and you're getting it all at the first time, you're talking, you're taking it in, it's going by in real time, and you're not stopping and thinking about anything. It's easy to make the wrong assumption about a lot of different things. One rewatch clarifies almost everything. So all it takes is one rewatch. I never had time to go back and rewatch things. I'm not watching One Piece 3,000 times instead of 1,000 times, right? Moving forward, I will, because now I have 1,100 under my belt, right? But it's interesting how quickly one rewatch will clarify almost every question, every confusion you had, because it's clear upon the rewatch when this is happening and who's all in this space. They just have it framed weird. Like, why wouldn't you just have, like, make the snail smaller, move Dragon over and have Kuma stand next to him, and then everything's clear. It's clear that this is when they got the news, and it's not happening right now. Because when I'm watching this, I was thinking he didn't know about his wife yet, and they were getting the news right after he left. Like, if he had stayed a minute longer, he would have got news. No, that's not what's happening. What's happening is this is a flashback, but it's unclear because he's not standing there next to Dragon. And if you just want clarity on a first-time viewing, the director should block it so that Kuma's in the shot with Dragon and the snail, rather than cutting over to Kuma. I don't know. Maybe you want Kuma to feel isolated. That's a choice. You probably notice a lot of times, like when characters are in conflict, sometimes you don't show them in a two-shot because that puts them together. When it's in conflict, you show one wide shot to show they're both in the same room, and from then on, you cut back and forth while they're arguing with each other. You never show them in the shot together. You don't do an over the shoulder or anything. You just have them in separate shots. And that it informs with your editing and how you shot it, these characters are not on the same page. It's something you can do. Maybe here they just want you to feel like Kuma's isolated. That's probably why they made the choice they did. For clarity's sake, I would have made the other choice, but then again, once you rewatch it one time, you immediately pick up on what's going on here. It's just the first watch is confusing. So that's interesting. See, he's even reacting to it. So, like, when you slow it down and you're not talking while you're watching, it is clear. I still would have I would have blocked it so they're in the same shot together. But they even show him reacting to it. It's clear enough on a rewatch. On a first watch, I don't know if I would pick it up even if I wasn't talking. But it's clear enough that that's just all flashback. It's just they're just providing the motivation for why he's being so reckless now. He don't care. He can go ahead and die. He does not give a shit. Here's a question: when does he pick up the Bible? Is the Bible because he was in the church, and people in the church helped Jenny? He starts carrying a Bible late in life, right? That must be what's going on. He does it in honor of the people who were in church who may be dead now for some reason or another. That could be more tragedy. Maybe they're dead and the church is burned down. And he keeps, there's one Bible that was left laying outside as the church burns. He picks it up and then he carries it with him for the rest of the time, right? Like, because we see him hold the Bible, right? That could explain that long-held mystery. Interesting. I bet that's what's going on there. Then it flashes back to him hearing the news again. Like, yeah, they're very, very clear. All this violence is coming from, his wife. Because he's not a violent person. But they turned him into one. It is a real tragedy because, he was not a violent person. He's a very sweet guy. I talked about this last recording session. He's a sweet dude, man. This is what they turned him into. And he don't give a shit about the accolades. There's literally blood on his hands. See that metaphor? He's got blood on his hands now. Something he never had before. I like this. He's like, he doesn't want to rejoin the fight anytime soon. That's why he's going to take the ship home, right? He's already checked out. Like, this is not good for him. Being in the fight means he takes it too far and he hurts people and he doesn't want to hurt people. This isn't good for him. It's a good thing he did step away from the fight to take care of Jenny or Bonnie, right? That's a good thing because he was just going to get worse and worse. He's going to get more and more angry. He's going to take it out on people who probably deserve it, but he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to be that, right? So this is the start of that attitude. A pledge to Jenny. Kuma becomes a father. That is spoiling as hell, man. I cannot believe these titles, man. Japanese don't give a shit about spoiling people, man. They don't give a shit. They don't know the concept of spoiler. It's a cultural thing. You're supposed to know as much as possible before you watch something, I guess. I don't understand that mentality. Like, I'm not mocking it. I'm saying I don't understand. What the hell is that? Like, that's wild. Okay, so 2 years passed. And so that means that she was with him for about a year, got impregnated, and then caught the disease, I guess. Here she is on the ship. Now, here's the thing. I was going to bring this up during the episode, but I figured that rewind's a better time to talk about it. She has a disease that she can't be exposed to sunlight or she gets worse. And they talked about how she took a ship along the sunny seas to get her child to safety. And that's like some huge sacrifice. And here's the thing. And this always annoys me when fans do this in comments. Why couldn't they just ... Why couldn't Luke Skywalker just shoot Darth Vader with the blaster when he came up on him and, before he got his hand cut off? Because we saw that Vader eats blasters. Why couldn't Luke just have a grenade and stick it in, Vader's pocket or whatever? Like, why couldn't they just? Why couldn't Han just go somewhere else rather than trust in Lando Calrissian? Most of the time, there are answers to these questions. I'm watching Dexter Resurrection. And people keep asking these questions. I've mentioned this elsewhere. It may have been a podcast. Where, why couldn't Dexter just, or why couldn't this person just close the drapes? Or, just questions. They're practical questions. And the out-of-universe answer to these questions is because the plot couldn't happen, you nitwit. Like, there's a question about how Dexter called the police at one time. Because he has a cell phone. He used a cell phone to call police when they know it's him and go track him down. He clearly used a burner phone. Who the hell wouldn't use a burner phone calling the police? The police didn't show up in the next episode and arrest his ass. So clearly he used an effing burner phone. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure that out. You don't need to be Dr. House. Like, elementary, dear Watson. Like, give me a break, man. Like, he used a burner phone. They didn't say he used a burner phone. They didn't show him buying a burner phone. It's okay to make the assumption he used a burner phone. You know, but they didn't want to waste screen time showing him by a goddamn burner phone because you're wasting screen time, man. You know that's what I'm saying. So most of these questions, the practical questions, have answers. They don't want to waste the screen time to talk about why they have answer, what the answer is. Okay, so fans who just raise every practical question are annoying, and you're missing the point. The real answer is because the story couldn't happen. Now, it's lazy writing if you ignore the obvious just so the story can happen. Obviously, why couldn't they just walk to a gas station and get gas? Why did they wait by the car? The gas station was just 3 blocks away, right? That's lazy writing. They would walk 3 blocks to get gas. They're not going to wait by the car to get axe murdered, right? That's lazy writing. So it's there's no one size fits all to this. Like sometimes there are good practical questions, and you're calling out the writer for being lazy. But most of the time, it's just fans trying to think they're smarter than the show is. You think you're smarter than somebody. Take a wild guess how much you get paid for one episode of television. Like you write one script for one episode of House. Because my information is now about 10 years old, so I don't know what it is now. But 10 years ago, you got paid $80,000 for one television script. I have a friend who's a freelance scriptwriter. He wrote 3 scripts a year for TV shows, and that's all he did. He worked about 2 months a year. He would work for 2 months a year writing scripts for his television shows. He would write 3 to 4 scripts a year, get paid $80,000 a piece, and be done for the year. He had all the money he needed. He took the rest. He would travel the world with his kid, go down to Aruba for a month. Like he had a good life, man. Now somebody like Jane Epperson, she's trying to write 10, 15 scripts a year. It's not always 80,000. Like the smaller cable channels and streaming channels probably don't pay that much. But for network TV or the big cable channels like FX or USA Network or whatever, it was 80 grand. So the point of that is, you think people are sitting there getting paid 80 grand and they ain't thought of where he got that cell phone from? Seriously. You seriously think they're making that kind of money and it never occurred to them where he got that cell phone from? They had the answer. They're just not going to waste screen time telling you the answer. So figure it out yourself. Like, oh, he went to a gas station, a bodega, and bought a burner phone. Okay. They can tell you that, but they're not going to waste the screen time for it. So most of these why didn't they just questions are stupid, and it's you thinking you're smarter than a TV writer, and you're not. So most of those why didn't they just questions fall in that category. Here's one I don't think falls in that category. I don't know that there is a good answer to this question. Why didn't she just stay below decks? It's a ship. You don't have to sit in the front deck like we're seeing right here, man. Look at her, bright ass. She did not have to sit there. She didn't have to have her baby there exposed to the sun. There's a good chance your kid has it, right? And now you're giving them the exposure before they're even born, right? Well, I mean, before they're grown. Why didn't she just have a blanket over her? No, I don't know if there's a good answer to that question. I can't think of a good answer. You could say some shit like she's got the revolutionary spirit and she wanted to feel the sun on her face. And she's going to, I die free. It's that teal shit from, the Gauld or the Jaffa. Jaffa, I die free. Shoot me in the face. I die free. That attitude, the pirate, revolutionary, you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to die under my own terms. I'm dead either way. It doesn't matter what I do. Like they said, by the way. Maybe that is the answer now that I think about it. You're dead anyway. No matter what you do, even if you hide from the light, you're still dead in a few years. But you could say that. And that's probably what the writer's thinking. The problem with that is, and the writer's a parent, so I don't even know if, I don't understand why he doesn't get this. A mother is going to try to give their child every single day they possibly can of life. If a mother has cancer, she's going to take whatever. My mom had cancer. She wanted to give us kids every second of her life, every possible day she possibly could. So she did all the radical treatments. Double mastectomy and everything. Like, to cut it all off. She wanted to give us more time with her. This is a baby. You want to give this baby, say you're going to die in 3 years anyway, so what the hell, sit out in the sun and you die in 2 weeks instead of 3 years. Who cares? You're dead either way. Well, that's 3 years your baby could have you. No mother would make this choice. No mother would choose to die in 2 weeks rather than 3 years. They would want to give their baby 3 years. Like, I don't believe any mother would do this. So it doesn't make any sense. I don't think I think the writer's just like, she's a revolutionary and she just wants to feel the sun in her face before she dies. She's dead either way. Who cares? If she didn't have a baby, I would be totally on board with that. As a mother, I don't believe it. So that was a question I had even during the episode. She does. Okay, so she is wearing a hoodie. She is wearing a hoodie. Okay, fair enough. It still feels like you would be below decks or have a blanket or whatever. It's not as bad as I don't know why I thought she was like sitting in the bright ass sunlight. I guess because I heard about the sun after the fact and then remembered her on the ship but didn't remember the circumstances. It's better than I thought it was. She was wearing a hoodie. Okay. Fair enough. I love how expressive the snails are, man. It will never fail to crack me up. Those snails, man. They're so good. It's my favorite part of the entire series. This is a very well voice acted scene, by the way, both of them. They got some incredible voiceover talent on this show. This poor bastard. Like I said during the reaction, I appreciate your kindness, but don't ever come to see me. It's not kindness, it's love, you know? She was traumatized too. She's not thinking clearly, right? It probably would have been better to write him a letter or something after and to be delivered upon her death. But she wasn't thinking clearly. She's traumatized too. We can't judge her harshly on that, you know? I think it helps, by the way, that they knew her as an individual rather than just his appendage. So if he was part of the team, but his wife wasn't, and then his wife died, and he had to take care of the kid, they would have been as accommodating. But I think it means a lot more that they also knew her on their own terms. You know, they knew her as an individual. So the rest of the revolutionaries, the top brass, are just as affected, right? Like as not maybe just as, but they were clearly affected as well, right? Just like Kuma is, you know. Look at them act like they don't know why he's here. Clearly, right? You can see that, actually, that's interesting. That must have been computer animation. See the detail of what he's running on? See how you can see all the lines and the stones? The level of detail on what he's running on versus this. There is no detail. This is clearly computer generated. Which, that's probably why they never did POV shots. It's just easier to do POV shots as computer generated than it is as just direct animation, right? So this is lower quality animation. And maybe it was fine when it was whatever, how long ago would this have been? This would have only been, what, 2 years ago this came out? I was told these episodes were coming out as I was already reacting to One Piece. So just 2 years ago. So I guess they were aware of the high def TVs and shit, right? So it wasn't that. They're just okay with a lower quality animation shot for a POV. And I agree. Like, I want the POV. So it's fine that it's lower quality, right? She is messed up, man. Then he hears a baby cry, right? Like, this is brutal, right? This is just reliving this is even worse than the first time. This is brutal. All the images that, like, they knew each other from kids up, right? So it's not even like you just met somebody and they were married for, I think they only married for a couple years, right? And then she gets taken. Like, they were friends for a long time before they got together. So it's like losing your best friend and your spouse at the same time. She crossed the sunny seas of Gear while she was still alive. See, they emphasize that point, right? Saying basically she sacrificed her life for the babies. And I remember when I saw that, I thought about the thing she could just wear a blanket. But, like, I felt like this is a better place to get into all that. That's an interesting foreshadowing there. The sun hits the baby's face and starts crying as if in pain, right? Because, yeah, that's the first dose of direct sunlight that's going to, like, start causing the stones to appear, right? This is let me do it. Like, why is everybody in this town like 85 years old? Like, they're all old. Where is everybody else? I guess there are kids. We see them later, right? But, like, where the hell? Why is it all old people, man? Put her in an iron cage when you sleep. Wow, I didn't catch that line the first time. They say he's going to roll over and crush it. Like, he probably could because, goddamn, he's big, right? That's a cold-blooded line. You might crush her with your massive body. Yeah, I didn't catch any of that the first time. She'll grow up to be a glutton just like Jenny. Yeah. Also dialogue I didn't catch the first time. That's very hurtful of you. Thank you so much for that feedback. I know it wasn't said with malice, but and then of course he thinks right after they say that he has a little flashback of her being a glutton. Yeah, very the flashbacks with because this whole thing's a flashback. The little quick flashbacks within the flashback do so much to tell you what characters are thinking. Obviously, right? Like they show flashes of her and he stomps out some bad guys. They show flash of her and they show the blood literally on his hands. Like that's, and then after that they do all that. He says, "I'm going to take a slow boat to China, right? I'm going to take a slow boat back home. I'm not going to teleport." They give you so much visually in this show. I think I'm just now appreciating how much they give you visually in a show like this, right? Like that's crazy. And he agrees. She will. Before I do it, she made it that far away. Oh, let's keep my eyes on her. Man, she was crawling slow as hell. What are you talking about, man? You better pay attention. He's such a loving person, man. He never needed any of this crap. This shitty, sorry-ass world of this. The world, he's too good for the world. He really is. So where's he going here? I don't know if I picked up on this either. He's leaving. Where the hell is he going? Is he going back for the fight? No. This is when he goes and tells Dragon he's staying with Jenny. So it's just a quick trip. That's right. Okay. He's just leaving to formally resign from the revolutionaries. But he waited until she was like 3 or 4, right? Before he did it. No. I'm wrong. They're showing him kick ass. So he would, in other words, okay, the whole time she was growing up, he was still with the revolutionaries. Because now they're showing little pieces of missions, right? He's kicking ass right here. Okay. Yeah, look at him. He's blowing up villages and blowing up fleets and shit. Okay. But at some point he decides enough is enough. He's going to stay with this kid full time. Okay, I got you. That's a good transition, man. You see that shit? From violence to love. Look at that. Boy, whoever directed this episode was cooking, man. They were cooking. There's the iron cage. I did not pick up on that. They got her in an iron cage. Man, just have her sleep in the next room, man. What the hell are you doing? They got her in an iron cage so you don't crush her. You gotta be shitting me. I did not pick up on that detail. That's crazy. Okay, wait, what is this? This must be him training Sabo? Did he come get Sabo at some point? I don't remember now. The hell is this part with Sabo? I don't remember any of this. He must have at some point confronted Sabo, and they're explaining that with this quick shot here, right? Sabo's going to kick his ass. Maybe that's when Sabo got recruited into the revolutionaries? I don't remember. I don't remember him or Sabo ever crossing paths with that guy. So that part I don't remember. Maybe it's after Sabo already joined the revolutionaries. And, I don't know. I guess you guys can clarify that part. I'm not going to get an answer here. He could have just been sparring with him. Point being, he's going back and doing shit with the revolutionaries, right? And look, when he's gone, she sleeps in his bed instead of the cage bed. I missed that entire cage bed thing the first time through. I didn't see the dialogue, and I didn't see that she was in a cage. Like, that's crazy. Yep, here he is kicking ass. She's sleeping peacefully, he's kicking ass. Okay. And then there's a mark, which happened while he was gone, right? And once he saw that, that's when he decided he was done with the revolutionaries. He was going to stay with her full time. Okay, that makes sense. It still doesn't answer the question of why they're in the church instead of a house. I guess that's just the place for him to live because he's so big. Now that I think about it, he's so big. The church is probably the only place that had enough room for him to have his house, unless he built a house, right? I guess that makes sense because the church has the tall ceilings and shit, right? This is when he quits. Okay. Yeah, man. He's a great leader. Here's the question, though. See, I was the kind of leader, I prioritize people, health, welfare over the project. And that's probably not the right thing to do because you take investors' money with the promise, I'm going to use this money wisely. to create a product that will turn a profit for you because you're giving me this money to turn a profit. So you have a responsibility to the investor to make the best project you can, to make the best product you can, the best film, the best audio play, the best whatever. If you take investor money, you have an obligation to turn that money into something good. I kind of see it the same way with my patrons. Like, patrons give me money to turn that money into a reaction that they want to see, right? Be it a movie, a TV series, whatever. So I have an obligation to give them the best product I can for the money they gave me. That's small scale. So I just realized that as I said it. But like large scale, with a large amount of money, sometimes we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars they've handed me. And I didn't take that lightly. I felt an obligation to create the best product possible for the best possible sale to generate the most amount of money for that investor. That I felt that obligation. And yet, I felt a higher obligation if there was a health or welfare issue. We would prioritize the health or welfare issue over the investor's money, which means I was probably not a good investment. Because, like, you know, if somebody's hurt or somebody's, like, their mental health, their emotional health is at stake, or somebody who would have to put themselves into danger, you know, to get the shot, to get the best shot possible for the film. We're not doing that. I'm not putting somebody in danger. I'm not going to risk somebody's mental, emotional health. If I have to send somebody home and we lose a day of production, I'm going to prioritize that. I'm going to do that because I give a shit about my people. Like, you know, this movie shit. We're play acting, man. And I know that this is real investor money, and they trusted me with this money, and I did feel the weight of that. But at the end of the day, man, like, no job is worth your mental health or your emotional health. No job is worth using people, using them up, burning them out. And there wasn't many situations where I faced that choice, I'll be honest with you. Like, you know, we ran tight productions. We weren't, like, when I was completely in charge later in my career, we never went over schedule. If we had a 12-hour day, we worked 12 hours, sometimes less. I got very efficient towards the end of my life as a producer. Very efficient film production. We got everything we needed. We got the great shots, and we got it on time or under time because I just figured out how to do it the right way. Early in my career, we would have really long days, too long, and we wouldn't get everything, and, you know, it was a learning process. But very rarely was somebody in physical. Nobody was ever in physical danger as far as that. We didn't do really stunts or fighting or stuff. It was mostly talking dramas and stuff like that. That's what I didn't have the money for stunts and to put people in danger. But there would be things where it's like somebody would get mildly injured on set, and we just, okay, well, why don't you go home and take care of that, and then, you know, the rest of us will work around it. We'll bring you in more time tomorrow. Whatever. I would reshuffle the schedule. So there's that. And then as far as mental, there's a couple actors who were clearly going through things, and I would take it easy on them or shuffle some things or whatever was required. But, like, it wasn't a huge. We didn't encounter it too often, but it would happen. So I completely relate to him. I prioritize the people. If somebody was like, look, you know, I can't work on this project even though I promised to, and you're counting on me, I can't do it because I have to take care of my kid, I would never be mad at them. I'd say the exact same thing he said. Go with, God be with you. Go there. Take care of that. We're wishing the best. If there's anything we can do, let us know. I would do the exact same thing. Here's the problem with that. In my case, we're just making stupid movies, right? We're play acting. We're putting on clothes and play and pretend in front of a camera. The stakes are the lowest you could possibly imagine, other than the stakes of the investor who gave us money. And sometimes I would self-finance, so I was the investor. And so I obviously didn't give a shit about wasting my money. But, like, the only stakes would be if the investor gave us money. We're trying to save the world here, man. I'm not saying he should have played this any differently, because he shouldn't have. But there is a question here of, is there a point in time when you have to, like, sacrifice somebody? Can you make the hard call? We're talking about saving the world here. We're talking about freeing the world from oppression, from some of the worst people who've ever been depicted in a fictional universe. These celestial dragons are some of the worst people imaginable. And they have the entire world under their boot. So that's the stakes here. This isn't like playing pretend and investor money. These are real stakes. Can this kind of leader get this job done? Can he change the world? Can he defeat the Celestials? I don't think so. I actually think you need a hard ass. I think you need somebody who can make the hard call, and I'm not convinced Dragon can, and I know Ivan can't. Empathetic people are great. They're wonderful. I would love to work with people like this. In any other situation, I think these are the right kind of people. These are the perfect people to be leaders of be leaders. These are the perfect leaders. You want them to give a shit. You want them to have empathy. You want them to prioritize the individual over the group. Because that's, if you can't prioritize the individual over the group, then like, what are we doing here? Individual people can get stomped in those scenarios. So you need that kind of leader. Except the highest of stakes. Maybe a hard ass with these resources would have ended the Celestials 5 years ago, if you can make the hard call. I'm not convinced he can. This is just my thoughts. I'm thinking like this scene reveals an empathy I really like, but I'm not convinced he can make the hard call, man. Like, we need a hard ass. I wouldn't be a good leader of a revolutionary army. You need somebody who can make the call. I'd be a good lieutenant. I would follow orders. It's not on me. I wouldn't be the one to say, hey, F this person, F their feelings. I don't know that I can make that kind of call. You need somebody who can to be the leader. And I would know that, and I would not make myself the leader of a revolutionary army. I'd make myself, at best, second in command. Because you need a hard ass. And I don't know that they have that, and maybe that's why they haven't really moved the needle in all the time he's been in charge of this. He's been doing this for a decade, 2 decades. How long has Dragon been in charge? And how much headway have they made? Luffy's done more in 2 years than his entire organization has in, 20 years? I think that's why. It is interesting that vampires exist in this universe. At least the mythology of vampires exists. Do you think they're real vampires? Did anybody get excited at this? I remember back in the day with Harry Potter, they kept every book there would be a mention of a vampire, just one quick mention, 1 sentence or 2 sentences, but it was consistently every single book. Every single book they mentioned vampires. So I thought what was going to happen was they were setting up a vampire was going to be a big bad in like the 6th book, right before the end. And it turned out not to be the case. And some people thought it meant Snape was a vampire. It turned out not to be the case. Spoiler alert. I wonder here if this is just a random reference, or because it fit, the parallel fits, so you can't go out in sunlight. Or do vampires exist and will they eventually be an enemy of some sort? Somebody will be a vampire in one of these. Like, that would be really cool. I'd love to see a vampire. Never got a vampire. Well, there was a quick appearance of a vampire in Harry Potter, but never got a vampire villain in Harry Potter, and wonder if we'd get one here. That'd be really cool, I think. It's interesting. She's already tougher than he is. Where did she get this tough attitude from? The townspeople are all kittens. He's a kitten. Why is she a hard ass? Like, she's here in a minute, she's gonna say there's no crying, and before that she's like, she calls him a chicken. Where does she get her brazenness from? She's so brazen and bold, right? Where does she get that from? And then she's like, I don't want to make you sad, so I guess, I'll follow your because she clearly loves him a lot, right? But like, she is a hard ass though. She had no role model who was a hard ass that I can see. So it's kind of interesting. That's just her core personality. She came out like that. We're talking about nature versus nurture here, right? This is nature. There is no nurture here. There's nobody around her who's a role model who's a hard ass. So it's kind of interesting. That's just her core personality. I wonder if the Skypiea mention was only to get us into talking about Nika, where he can do the dance and all that stuff. Or if there's anything more to that. Like, maybe she eventually went to Skypiea, or he went there. I don't know. Like, it's too early to tell, but like, I think it could just be they just wanted to get into Skypiea is closer to Nika. It could just be that, get us into that conversation where he can dance, or there could be something deeper there. I'm not sure. Wait, there's the Bible. That's not the same Bible he had, though. What is that a Bible of? Is that a Bible of... That's what the book she went to talk about Skypiea. Is it like a Bible of... Because I talked about this back when he was holding the Bible. It didn't necessarily mean he was religious. There's other kinds of Bibles. There's like a show Bible. A TV show Bible. A Bible can be a manual. Maybe this is like a Bible of all the different islands that are out there. Somebody has collected that all together. Interesting. I didn't notice that she was holding the Bible the first time through. Sapphire scales. Kind of like grayscale, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I've already talked about this first time through. I think the fruit power is the only way out. It's interesting, though, that like how often we run across that in this series. Incurable disease this, incurable disease that. I don't know if it's just set up for, people that eat fruits, like it was with Law, or if it's some kind of running theme, like because the world is kind of diseased right now, and the cure will be getting rid of the celestial dragons, right? So I wonder if that's just an undercurrent of the overall theme, or if it's just a coincidence, or if it was just necessary to plot. I'm not sure. So here's where she wakes up because he was shouting about the incurable disease, right? Then to talk about the 10th birthday, that's the only part she heard. So we know that to be true because they showed us when she woke up. Okay. She wasn't just lying to him to make him feel better, right? What's interesting, too, is just one guy telling you this. Every other person you've talking to said, we don't even know what this disease is. Now there's one guy who knows what it is, and he tells you it's incurable, but that's just one guy. So obviously you keep looking, right? So, because he was sitting there questioning that. He's like, is this true? Like, we know it's not true because we see her alive 7 years later. But, it seems like the fruit power is the only way to go. But there could be some other thing that happened, right? Now, personally, I don't believe in false hope. But I also don't know how you tell a 5-year-old she's going to die in 5 years. I don't know how you do that. So I would have probably just not told her she's going to be well in 5 years. Just told her they were talking about. We were just talking about various options. I don't know. I could come up with a lie. He was on the spot here. He didn't know she heard, and he had seconds to respond. I don't have seconds to respond. I have a little more time to think about that. I'd have been like, "Oh, we're just talking about when we're going to start traveling." Maybe that's a good lie. That came off the top of my head. We're just going to talk about when you're 10 years old, you'll be strong enough to travel. We'll start traveling, and I guess now that I think about this, the implication here is she can't travel until she's cured of the disease. I didn't think about that because traveling, you're going to be in the sunlight. Even if you do have the hoodie on, you have the blanket, whatever, you stay below decks, there's much more chance of being in the sunlight than being stuck in this church. They explain here that like moonlight counts, so you'd have to be a moonless night, I guess you could go out. But other than that, So and then you get like even reflect. Let's say you're wearing a hoodie. There's reflected sunlight off the ocean water, right? There's reflected sunlight off surfaces. There's like metallic surfaces on ships. You're going to get shot with some of this reflected sunlight. What is moonlight but reflected sunlight? So reflected sunlight also damages you, and you can't avoid that unless you literally wear a body, like a diving suit or something with a mask. Like there's no way around that, right? So she can't travel unless she's cured. So that's the implication. But I don't know if he ever outright said that to her. So I guess my excuse would have been, I was talking to the doctor. He said you're going to be good enough to travel by the time you're 10. I wouldn't say you're going to be cured when you're 10. I think that's the kind of false hope that can really damage somebody, hurt them. And I don't believe in that. But like I also don't know how you tell a 5-year-old that she has 5. I don't know how you do that. So he's between a rock and a hard place, really. I mean, he really is. I didn't catch this either. There's so many of these little lines of dialogue that I'm talking, I look away for 1 second, whatever. Oh no, what do I do? Look, the first thing I would think about would be the fruit powers. Try to procure a fruit power. That, or he can travel around the world. I don't know how I think he has to be somewhere. Maybe he can just look at a picture. Maybe a drawing would be good enough. Somehow, he can travel out quicker than anybody else can. Travel the damn world. Go to foreign, faraway lands and see if they know more than the people around here know. That's the first thing I do. I wonder if he started working for the government. I wonder if that was to cure his daughter. Maybe he sought out Vegapunk. Because Vegapunk is a scientist. If anybody can cure the daughter, it'd be Vegapunk. Maybe that's what happened. Because Vegapunk also seems to have some kind of affinity for Bonnie. It's like he's met her before, like he kind of likes her, or at least he had dealt with her at some point in the past. I'm putting this together as I talk. Maybe that must have been what happened. He goes to Vegapunk for a cure. Vegapunk cures her, may have nothing to do with the devil fruit, now that I think about it. Cures her, and that's how he has a prior relationship with her, because he seems, in the current timeline, he seems to have some kind of affinity for her. He went to rescue her. At the time I read that, it's just, well, that's Kuma's daughter, but now it could be more, maybe he dealt with her in the past when she was young, and so that's why he has an affinity for her, is because he cared for her. You know, I mean, like physically, medically cared for her, but then could also like emotionally care for her. You know what I mean? Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that must be why. I guess that's what he does do. He seeks out Vegapunk. That, or he starts working for the government because they have the resources that can help him. Those are good options. Like, what else are you gonna do, man? The only other thing I think of is travel the world, and that's aimless and without direction, and you're running out of time, right? So that must be what happens. Then another year passed, so now she's 6. At this point, she's 6. Okay, he only has 4 years left. Yep. So now he's going to have to kick ass. Well, anyway, let me know what you think of this new format. Is it tedious? Is it interesting? Whatever. I'm going to keep doing it, but I'll take feedback. Is there some other segment you'd like to see added to this? I feel like this particular video is going to be really long, so maybe not. But just let me know what you think, and let me know what you think of the episode. Because, like I said, I'm going to be replying to every comment for this video and for the reaction video moving forward. So that's how it's going to work from now on.